Well, good evening, everybody, and you're very, very welcome to the second in our Autumn Masterclass series. And we're delighted to have the wonderful violinist Mia Cooper here to present this masterclass. Mia, lovely to see you, and thank you very much for doing this with us today.
You too.
We're really looking forward to tonight. It's something a little different from our standard masterclass format, in that the participants tonight are taken from some of the most promising players from the junior schools of the conservatories in Ireland. So what we're seeing here tonight is really the future of Irish music in the making, and we're delighted to have three fantastic young violinists to work with us today. The format will be that there will be three participants, as I said. Each one will be approximately 40 minutes long. And after the second participant, there will be a very short break, so please don't go anywhere if you're watching. A break of about 3 minutes just to stretch the legs, and then we will have our final participant. And this will be followed by a short Q&A session. If anybody is interested in sending some questions to Mia during the masterclass, please do so via our social media channels or on our YouTube channel, and we will relay them to Mia at the end. Without further ado, I would like to welcome Mia, who was appointed leader of the RTE Concert Orchestra in 2006, and in this role has worked with musicians as diverse as Pavarotti, Kurt Elling and Martin Hayes. Before moving to Dublin to take up her position, Mia was a principal member of the first violin section of the Royal Philharmonic Orchestra. In addition, she has been a member of the Esposito String Quartet since 2010, with annual touring at venues across Ireland organised by the National String Quartet Foundation. Since 2006, Mia has taught violin at the Royal Irish Academy of Music in Dublin and coaches on the Irish National Youth Orchestra and the Dublin Youth Orchestra Chamber Music courses. Mia, it's a real pleasure to have you with us this evening, and we hope that you enjoy the masterclass. Our first participant is Scarlett Yu, and Scarlett is 10 years old, and she joined David O'Doherty's violin class in TU Dublin since the age of 6. And she is the winner of the under 10, under 12, under 15 and under 18 string competitions in TU Dublin. So Scarlett, you are very, very welcome, and we hope that you enjoyed the masterclass. I'm going to step out now, and I'll leave Mia and Scarlett together, and you can perhaps, Scarlett, introduce the piece that you're going to play, and we look forward to hearing you. So we will see you shortly, and we'll leave Mia and Scarlett at this point. Thank you.
Hello.
Hi, Scarlett. Nice to see you.
You too.
Great. Whenever you're ready.
Okay.
That's absolutely amazing. So fantastic. I'm smiling all the way through. It's fantastic to hear. Oh my goodness, the amount of work you put in. And you're 10. You know, I have a 10-year-old too, and a 9-year-old, and I try and make them practice. And I know how hard it is to do that, and the amount of hours you've put in. And it's really fantastic, Scarlett. You're on a really exciting journey, I think. You're making all the rest of us feel a bit inadequate and sweaty, like we need to do a bit more practice. You know, could you move a tiny bit towards the piano behind you so I can see your left hand as well? That's it. Yeah, just be comfortable. That's it. Brilliant. Just so I couldn't see your left hand terribly well. That's perfect.
Okay.
Wow. It's a fantastic piece, isn't it? Do you enjoy playing it?
Yeah.
I played this. I'm a much older age than you, and I enjoyed it too. What do you think the character of it is?
Well, it's very joyful and jumpy, I guess.
It is pretty joyful and jumpy. I mean, jumpy is a good word. I think almost sort of jumpy as in giving people spooks. It's quite a good piece around Halloween, actually, because I know people won't have the music in front of them, but it's pianissimo. Then all of a sudden, fortissimo. Sometimes it's these sort of spooks and jumps that come out of nowhere in another ways, and the piano part as well, which you can't hear, is very kind of creepy. So, and I think that's what really he's trying to achieve. He's trying to achieve that kind of effect. So we just have to do as many dynamics and things like that as possible. And I think you really are doing a lot of them. And I know also that Zoom doesn't it's not great for dynamics. So I'm not going to say too much about that, other than that you can just absolutely go for them with no clue that there's a fortissimo coming like this. Try and make the grannies in the audience scream, really. And also you make it look very, very easy. What size is your fiddle?
It's half.
Half. Amazing. Sounds really good for a half size violin. So it does sound very easy, and I think when you're watching a player who's as masterful as you, sometimes we think, you know, how are they doing it? And that's part of the trick. It's almost like when a magician has a trick, you know, and they pull, well, I've never actually seen one, but the old trick of pulling a rabbit out of the hat. Have you heard of that trick? A trick like that, or a trick. But actually, what you don't want to see is the magician stuffing the rabbit into the hat beforehand to so it really has to be as magical as possible. And part of the brilliance of listening to a showpiece like this is not knowing how you're doing it. And actually, it's a bit of a diversion, but I don't know if you know much about Paganini as a man.
Oh.
I'm sure you've heard of Paganini. You've probably even played some.
Yeah.
Yeah. And his concerts, he was like a rock star. Everyone queued to come to his concerts. Apparently the ladies fainted because they were so, it was like watching, well, some people thought he'd sold his soul to the devil because it was incomprehensible. No one could understand how he could be so good. And he had little tricks, Paganini. He had a trick. Of course, his strings were gut, so it was easier. But he would cut through the strings, here or here, actually I think here, just little cuts before his concert. And then at a certain moment, he'd force the string to snap, and then, cool as a cucumber, he'd go onto the D string, and then he'd make that string snap, and cool as cucumber, he'd go onto the G string, sort of by magic. Actually, he'd sort of engineered it. But the reason I'm saying this is, I mean, as if it couldn't be more, it's already so impressive what you're doing, and it looks really very easy. But just sometimes, if I have to say something very small, I think you could fool us even more. Sometimes I see your safety mechanisms, is what I'm saying. I don't know if that makes sense. Sometimes in this piece, I think we need to be rhythmical all the time, but maybe not all the time do we need to show the bar lines. And just sometimes I hear your bar lines. I can't really play like you can. Can you hear I'm kind of exaggerating there a little bit?
Yeah.
And maybe in a place like that, that's around, I don't know what music you have, that's around G for me. Do you have G?
Yeah.
There could be a sort of moment where time stands still. And so we really actually don't want these bar lines to be shown. It's sort of invisible. So. Just for maybe 8 bars or so, or 4 bars of something absolutely where all the notes are even, and it's sort of a moment where you hold your breath. And of course, some places, I will ask you to play actually in a minute, that would be great, but perhaps the beginning, even there, and I commend you for trying for being so rhythmical and giving yourself these sort of internal accents. Sometimes you just to sort of keep on track. I can see that's what you're doing, and it's the right way to practice. But just risk every now and then. There's just the odd place I think you can risk taking away the safety net and being even more magical, and will be even more open-mouthed. I think you probably know what I mean. We could try a bit of that. Why don't we just try from the beginning?
Like that?
That's it. Yes, so that whole thing is just one kind of continuous line. It was great. So you don't want an accent on the G sharp. Which you didn't do. That was great. I think it's probably Zoom, but I also think you could play softer.
Okay.
You could risk something, to have a little go, see if it works, see if it comes out on the Zoom. You could risk something.
Sorry.
Yeah. Take it away. Oh, sorry.
Like that?
It sounded great. For me, yeah, I thank you. I thought that was brilliant. Fantastic. And it's very tempting as we're climbing towards that first forte. So try not to do any kind of crescendo, I think.
Okay.
Which is hard because, of course, we're going higher in the register. But even just don't give anything away. And possibly, I don't want to make you play too fast, but for this forte, you could try ever so slightly more bow. And I think you've got the control to be able to come back to using a tiny amount of bow afterwards. And then actually, if you use more bow, it doesn't need to be too forced. The violin should be just resonant enough, so you don't feel you need to get too stuck in, which will slow you down. But just open the forearm perhaps a little bit, and then the sound will come out.
Okay. Should I try it once?
Yeah, great. Yeah, really comes across really, really well. Fantastic. Really, the points I'm making are so tiny. Basically, this is a quiet piece, isn't it? I think with loud bits. It's not a loud piece with soft bits. So even the pianissimo, I noticed your point of contact, I'm sure you've heard that. The point of contact, which is where you are between the, it's perfect. It's really, really good. Again, if you felt like it, I think you could play even more on the fingerboard, which is probably not the textbook, not really the right place to play. Normally, we shouldn't be so fluffy, but you can see if you like that kind of very, very covered sound for a moment. Yep, and then actually, let's try. So move 2 millimeters further towards the fingerboard. Sounds great. I mean, it's hard to tell here, but it still sounds very, very clear. I can hear every single note. Great. And then it really continues, etc., isn't it? For this, there's a part after E. I just wrote something down. I don't know if you have letter E. Where this time, Novacek writes some accents. Do you know where that is? That's
That bit.
Exactly that bit. So, and in your edition, is there an accent on the
On the
fourth
fourth.
semicolon? Yes.
Yes.
So we really kind of want to bring that out, and if it helps to think of to bring that accent out, maybe we can think of everything else as an unaccent.
Okay.
So totally exaggerate, almost. Let's for now play mezzo piano, the other notes. It'll all kind of serve to frighten the grannies.
Okay.
And granddads. Good. That's closer, I think. It's very hard not to bring out the lower string, isn't it? Because that's what kind of keeps us on track, and that's what keeps us rhythmical. So it's a little bit, this passage, a bit like being turned upside down, because he's almost like he's put the downbeat halfway through the bar, but that's pretty exaggerated, because of course we still need some bass, but let's try once more, really popping out the notes on the E string. That's okay. Take your time. Maybe take it tight. It's really, I'm asking you to uncoordinate yourself in a way, but yes. Do you do this under? Yeah. You just. Fantastic. Okay, the up bows were brilliant. Just something to sort of think about when you're playing it through, and then perhaps it's up to you how much you want to kind of accent the beats. Maybe we don't need two accents. So really take it away. But in our efforts to kind of perform these magical tricks, if you like, we're trying to be magicians in front of an audience. Yeah, I don't want you to become unstable now if you remove all the bar lines. But that was great. They were really popping out. So I think they should sort of be fortissimo, and the rest is almost mezzo piano, and then the rest that'll have a really good effect. Good. We could maybe take, and then the bit I played at the beginning where it's, do you find this difficult to count? I always used to find this really hard to count, because the piano part is kind of slightly confusing.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you did brilliantly. But we could go perhaps from the same spot and cover that bit. And when you're on this, really like you're holding your breath, and there's that long scale in the piano, with no bar lines at all.
Okay, should I start from F?
Perfect. That's it. Yeah. So if any little accents or little things to keep you on track, you just keep them for yourself and don't show the public. If you see what I mean. Tiny or really almost just mental. Very good. It's all piano. At the beginning of that scale, again, it's Zoom's fault. You could perhaps play a little stronger in order to create a kind of magical, like a wisp of smoke or something.
Okay.
So go for it. Great. Yeah, and try even more diminuendo. Like you have to suck in almost. You have to do this. Disappear. Turn yourself inside out. Fantastic. I thought that was brilliant. Really good. And actually you were experimenting as well with your point of contact. It was great. Really, really good. Fantastic. And then the middle section I thought was great. I think it's quite funny that he writes at one point, he writes tranquillamente. I don't know if you've got that. Do you know what that means?
No.
Well, it's the beginning is sounds like tranquil. Do you know what tranquil means? If something's tranquil.
Quiet?
Yes, yeah, it's a word people don't really use anymore. Exactly, quiet, and also kind of, it also implies in English at least, if someone's tranquil, they're very calm, kind of half asleep really, which I think is funny because it's the last thing you're feeling when you're playing that bit. But perhaps again, in this if we went from that spot, there's the odd diminished thing going on. These diminished chords. Perhaps they could bubble up a little bit more. You know, like when you see water just beginning to boil, and there's a little bubble, and then it goes back down again. Love it. Yes, exactly. And I know he doesn't really write that, but I think there's a bit of an unwritten rule that when the music goes up, we can kind of do small crescendo, and when it goes down, diminuendo. And the rest is so good. We do the same. We've got the same thing with the upper accents. The same thing at N. So it says fortissimo. He really wants us to work hard here. N is on my third page.
Yeah.
We've got again. So in order for those to be effective and not for us not to kill ourselves trying to play so loudly, maybe you could just cheat a little bit and play unaccents. So mezzo forte and then really fortissimo.
Okay.
I'll get you to play because it's so good. I want to hear it again. The same thing with all those scales. It's better, I think, if they disappear rather than crescendo, which is hard because the higher up we go, the louder it generally becomes. Perhaps the last note, we'll get there as well. So it's only half a bar. And I think, yes, not too long. I think it's kind of fun just to finish like that, and then that people will rise to their feet. I've seen people play this perhaps with the second last, so the second last note, you could perhaps play on an up bow. On an up bow. If you felt like it. Exactly. Yes, it's totally up to to you how you feel in the moment. Perhaps if you're doing that, you could even cheat and do a left hand pizzicato. Left hand, which gives us time to kind of get to the up bow. That's it. So the first one, you're right, yeah. I mean, it's just something to try, but the first one is with right hand, normal.
Yeah.
And then we pluck with the left hand. Whichever finger is strong, pluck the D string. Say with your third finger, if that's comfortable. Exactly, the open D. You're nearly there. Just the open string. So you're going to pluck the open. That's it. I don't know which finger you find strongest. Fourth or third, I suppose. And it's just a trick because then you can gives you time to find the up bow.
Okay, so let's try it.
See if it suits you. Yeah. Great. Yeah. It's something you could try once or twice, and if you like it, take it on, and if you don't, that's fine. It's so good. Would you like to play? So we can just do the. How are we doing for time? I'd love to hear. Perhaps could you bear to go from F? It's quite a long way back, but then we can just sort of incorporate a few of the things.
Yeah.
Have a go at some of the things we were talking about, and don't worry if they don't come off. Great, sounds great, really good. Fantastic. Oh yes, we've got a tenor page there, that's fine. Well, I think you've shown me so much already, I think that's fantastic. Where it says tranquillamente, where he's asking us to relax in a way, or he says be quiet, I think actually that could also be softer.
Okay.
And because in a piece, I didn't count how many notes are in this, did you?
No.
Many. I would guess, I have no idea. Between 1,000 and 2,000, something like that. A lot. And I think it's good also to have these mental places where, as a performer, not without telling the audience or showing them, you can just kind of take a step back and kind of, in case you're getting tired, or use that as a place to kind of chillax a bit. Brilliant. So good. Have you performed this much in public?
Well, I did it for my under 18s.
Very good.
Competition.
Amazing. It's very, very good. And so you've also got, we could have a little look at the road study, if you wanted to play that. Oh, you can't study, I'm sorry, it's a caprice. It's much nicer than a study. Do you know what, if somebody's capricious, what that means?
Sorry?
Do you know what caprice means, or capricious?
Like free.
Yeah, pretty free, and also kind of actually can mean, it has all sorts of little sub meanings. It can be quite cheeky and changeable in nature, actually. So someone who's capricious is one thing 1 minute and another thing the next. We all know people like that. Great. Take it away. and then it repeats. Really very, very good. And I thought you were nicely capricious, changing characters. Very, very good. That's so difficult. The nice thing about these is there's no accompaniment. So you can be as free as you want. So, and I think really you're playing it really well. I think you could perhaps really use the rests, really play the rests. Not just to sort of make it easier or give your hands time, but also for the character, so that the rests become part of the music. Bar 3. Rest. I mean, I'm slightly exaggerating, but as if you're improvising, and then in the rest you change character. It's like you getting to a different costume. This particular caprice is quite I don't know. They're all slightly operatic. I don't know if you know what I mean by that. But like a singer, I might sing. This is very singery. So again, I think not necessarily playing in time all the time. It's great to practice with the metronome and everything and be so rhythmical as you are. But let's be a little bit freer, not just with the rests, but with the sort of characters.
Okay.
And yeah, have a go. Certainly the first few, I think you sort of set yourself, and actually it does help the fingers. I think it can help us play with more accuracy as well. And also, a singer tends to linger on their favourite notes. They actually, the higher a singer can sing, well, back in the old days, the more they were paid. And I think we can borrow a little bit of that. There's a passage. It's actually all semiquavers. It's line 3. Good. So we could play metronomically. We could, and it's not a bad way to play. But because it's a caprice, because we're not masters to the piano here. So we can really play with that, and then as it goes up, crescendo, as it comes down, very gracefully. And here, there's the same thing 3 times. So I think because it repeats itself, we have to do something different, maybe the 3rd time most. So see how wild you can be with your characters. Can you go from that spot? Yes, totally, Scarlett, you're totally doing it. And occasionally you can maybe give yourself room dynamically to make even more colours. It's really very good. So that it's not always too forte. So that where's the spot? exaggerated, but maybe the minor. Etc. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, now we're playing really quite out of time, but I think it's fun to just try it. And actually, you can start there. I haven't had a warning that we're about to finish. And then the bit we get to, if we're being very, very diligent about, really good about reading the text, he writes sforzando, FZ. Do you have that?
Yeah.
And then smaller accents. So again, I think that's an invitation to back off a bit, actually. You can give the sforzando a lot. Hi, 5 minutes left. So let's rewind a little bit, and then when you get there, use the dynamics, the softer dynamics, in your favor as well, so that you can follow the lines even better, even more than you're doing at the moment.
Okay. What else happened there?
Great. Great. Yes. Perfect. And what might you have done with the very next bar? You can even just tell me. But you see, when you see a pattern like that, it's 16 semiquavers up and down, that you can kind of spot the opportunities for expressing yourself, for expression. That when you look on the page, you can kind of see all the things that maybe aren't written there. Little subtle crescendos and diminuendos. Because nothing is the same. Even, when we speak, we go up, we go down. And that hopefully what makes this interesting, so people don't fall asleep listening to us if we're all on the monotone. And that kind of also goes for playing, even if the playing is fantastic. You need lots of colours and lots of modulations up and down and things like that. We've a 1 or 2 minutes left. There's one little thing that you could also experiment with. Hard. Bar 2 and bar 4. There's bar 4.
Yeah.
Why could you try? It's a sforzando, which means reinforced, kind of strong. A slightly less fast bow speed, because when we use a really fast bow speed, the tension kind of goes out. And sorry, I'm bashing into things. But maybe just to hold the sound a little bit longer. It's very easy to shoot to the pointy end of the bow, which is weak. So try even just the first 4 bars, if you would, and even the top B, which is hard. Singing, 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 and don't shoot to the end of the bow too fast. I've really enjoyed this. Great. Did you start when you were 6 years old?
Sorry, I can't really hear you.
That's not good. How's that?
Okay, that's better.
Okay, is that still good?
Yeah, that's.
I was asking when you started playing. Were you 6 or before then?
My dad started teaching me at the start.
Great. Well, it's really impressive, and I can really see that you love doing it.
Yeah.
Great. And well done after a long day. Great.
Great.
Thank you.
Super. Thank you so much, Scarlett. Wonderful playing, and we've really enjoyed listening to you. So keep up the good work, and I'm sure we're going to be seeing and hearing a lot of you in the future. Thank you, Mia. for your insight into amazing playing, really. For particularly, I mean, I'm sure poor Scarlett is tired of everybody saying, for somebody of her age, but I mean, wonderful playing. And now we have Chloe O'Connor joining us. You're very welcome, Chloe. And Chloe is 14 years old, and she's a member of the Young Scholar programme in the Royal Irish Academy of Music, studying under Dr. Fionnuala Hunt. Chloe has won many prizes in national competitions such as Feshkill and is a winner of the Dublin Philharmonic Junior Concerto Competition. Chloe also competed internationally in the Young Musician Competition in Tallinn, Estonia. Chloe is a member of the National Youth Orchestra of Ireland and has also played with her quartet at events in Dublin, Castle and Oris an Uachtaráin. Chloe, you're very, very welcome. And just to remind people that we are taking questions through our social media channels. If you have something that you'd like to ask Mia at the end in our Q&A, please do so and we will relay them. After Chloe's part of the masterclass, we will be taking a very short break, about 3 minutes, and we will be back very soon after that with Helen. So, Mia and Chloe, I will leave you to it and enjoy the session.
Hi, Chloe. I'm just going to wait to get your... I can only see Nigel's big screen. Do I have to do something there? I can only see Chloe in the thumbnail. Am I doing something wrong? No, it's not you. I think it's me. Oh, there we are. That's great. I don't know if someone fixed it or if I... Divine intervention. Fantastic. Okay. Great. Well, nice to see you, and thanks for waiting. I know it's late. Yeah, so Kreisler, is this a lockdown piece?
Yeah, I started it during lockdown.
Lockdown Kreisler. Brilliant. Great. Whenever you're ready. everyone's clapping at home. Fab. You play it brilliantly.
Thank
Sounds
you.
lovely. Even through Zoom, I can tell you have a beautiful sound. It's really really resonant and in all registers. It's lovely. It's lovely and clear at the top and very full at the bottom. It's beautiful. This is a great piece. I really love his pieces.
I love it.
It's great. Actually, have you heard Kreisler himself play?
I think I listened to it once, yeah.
Yeah, I think actually I haven't for a long time looked for this. More other pieces that are sort of well, I guess you can find anything on YouTube, but it's very interesting to hear him play his own pieces actually.
Yeah.
And when you hear about Kreisler, I was actually reading something. It's actually on my desk. Happens to be. It's just a guy, Cardus, who was a music critic back, well, in the UK, but his career spanned, I don't know how many years. He heard everybody. And he was talking about hearing Kreisler practicing Elgar Violin Concerto. He was the dedicatee of that. And anyone who writes about Kreisler's playing says nobody could imitate it. Could only be Kreisler. And it's kind of true. And you think, oh, that's annoying. How can I sort of be like that? How can I be unique and recognizable just for my voice? Yeah. And you think, well, maybe it must be the sound, it must be the tone. But other violinists have a wonderful tone. Mine's okay. Yours is great. So what is it? And I think it's their command of rhythm. And I don't mean his command. It's not necessarily playing metronomically. Yeah. It's this utter command, authority, when you hear him play, of not just rhythm, but of rubato. That was kind of unique. It was his own imagination, I guess, his own magic touch on it. I mean, this isn't a piece where there's a lot of possibility, really, for rubato, because it's pretty rhythmical. He says molto ritmico at the top, but I don't think it necessarily has to be metronomical type of rhythm, that it can actually be something almost caricatured, that you need to put on your best Spanish, I mean, he was Austrian, but put your best Spanish accent on and kind of filter all your playing through this Spanish accent, which I think, I don't know, when you hear him play, it's just fabulous. Do you know what rubato means?
It's like slow and like,
yeah.
Like yeah.
Yes, and actually the word is from, oh gosh, I'm going to reveal my I think it's rubare or something like that. That's the Italian. And do you know where that comes from?
No, sorry.
No, it's robbing, basically, stealing. Stealing. It's a very special type of taking time. You're meant to, you steal a little bit of time, so take more, but then you have to give it back at some point, is the idea behind it. And I think it's something really worth studying when you're looking at all fabulous violinists that we can watch online. Not just their tone, not just their left hands, not just how they hold the bow, it's their command of rhythm that can be so unique and so recognizable, and so unforced as well. Magic. And just occasionally I thought your Spanish accent could be even more exaggerated. You might hate these ideas, and as for any kind of lesson or masterclass you have, you take what you like and disregard what doesn't suit you. I think that's the beauty of playing to lots of people. Yeah. Is you just hopefully get one or two things and think that really kind of made sense, and then other things. So just take what you want. But this part, and I know the piano's thumping away too, but pretty exaggerated, but I can imagine, I don't know, some Spanish, I don't know if you've ever seen flamenco dancers. Well, don't sit on the front row, is all I'm saying, because you will be covered in their sweat. Disgusting. But there's such a sort of macho kind of thing going on. There's such nobility. And then even when, shall we say, I hate to be sexist, but say the grazioso. So this is the female dancer, maybe. Something like that.
Yeah.
So, you might annoy the pianist. Let's see how annoying you'll be if they're trying to play in time. I don't think it matters, honestly, for the sake of expression. Actually, it's really quite, especially that second part. I think you can go for it in terms of expression there. We could just try there. Actually, I noticed that part, you play quite off the string, which is fine. It does have accents.
Yeah.
It could also be maybe more connected if you felt like it. You could try something a little bit more on the string. Great, keep going. Really lovely. You totally got it, totally, and you can stay in character. And then the bulls come charging in, but it's great, and yeah, I think you totally grasped it. I don't know if you get slightly self-conscious putting on the. I think it actually helps for me anyway when I when you really kind of get behind the character of something. It's actually easier to put yourself on the line, as we always do when we perform. Really good. And then even just the way you start. I think even within that, there's a minuscule opportunity for contour. So maybe the G maybe could be a bit louder. Don't play maximum.
Yeah.
Right from the beginning. Partly because you'll wear yourself out.
Yeah.
You're physically tiring, and also our screens will explode with the. No, it's. It will help, I think, just to sort of not think that the forte is absolutely like a tomato ketchup for the whole phrase. It's just you can choose your favorite notes. And one more go at it. Yes, great. Yeah. And again, it's very hard to hear dynamics on the Zoom, but you could risk even more introverted's the wrong kind of word, but something more inner just before this big explosion. I thought that was great. Actually, while we're on that little bit, just before then, we've got this part. I don't know what edition you have. I've just got very old shots, but I have crescendo marked there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and I once paid such a lot of money for a lesson for when I was younger from someone really famous. And all they said was, crescendo means piano.
Yeah.
And that's all I got from it. But there's something in it that when you see, because it's not particularly clear, because I don't know, we're sort of piano, but when you see the beginning of the crescendo, it's your softest moment, I think, and then that can be incredibly exciting. I don't know how many of those there are. But, let's try directly on that. Actually, it's hard to pick up before, so directly there. Great, yes. And if you're out of tune. If your left hand one, yes, it's hard to make that strong, and you can get blisters. But the feeling of springing back into your hand, I think. Do you use third finger? Yeah. Well, it's really personal. I think fourth finger's better for me, for the left hand hits, but it's quite personal. It's whatever works for you, really. But and I know there are accents only on the other one, but I just think it's fun to sort of pop them out. Really good. I mean, all my points, as I said to Scarlett, they're very, very small. I think sometimes, though, maybe you're a little bit guilty, as many of us are, of spending your bow too quickly. This theme, which comes back a lot, so if we go through the bow too quickly, the note can't really live, and it's quite repetitive. So I think just I mean, you can vary it a little bit, and that give yourself room for colour. I don't think you need full bows, actually, necessarily. You're not playing against a full orchestra or anything, and you could just be a little bit more tightly coiled, that it's expression of a sort of slightly more tightly coiled nature. It's not there. Here you go. Try the beginning again. Sorry, the second one was better. Actually, just the first one straight away, it's like you were like a horse at Grand National. You were gone. So there's something, you just keep the note sort of in your hands a bit longer. I don't think there's no accents. Yeah, it's piano. You can play more nicely, but I think you know what I mean, that it's not too obvious out there. That's it, that's better already. Yep, I think so. I mean, as a singer, I won't make you sing in front of the world. And I'm not going to sing either. But I don't think they'd go, no. I can't sing, but they would connect the F sharp, I think, to the E. This is opera, actually. This is from La Vida Breve. I have no idea what that's about, but I'm sure it's about people falling in love and dying. This is a great big problem, the bow, with playing the violin, which I'm sure you've noticed. So there's a heavy end and there's the pointy end, which is weak. So without conscious effort, every down bow is a diminuendo.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, I'm slightly exaggerating, but not really. Melodies become, you can almost hear what bow people are on. I mean, I think the expression is, I wouldn't do that in a gig, but it's almost the other way around.
Yeah.
Uh, just try even the first 4 bars the wrong way around. So you're using the bow for its weaknesses, if you see what I mean. Use the weaknesses, crescendo on the up bow. And... Yes, really good, and I'm being really fussy, but just think about the connection, the E to the F, that there's something, this is why we don't play the piano, which you have, and well, you know, we can do something with this note. It has internal life. It doesn't stop living. With vibrato or bow speed or just here. Yes, and now miniature. Yes, sounds really good. See if you can recreate that connection and that sort of slight sort of what's happening feeling. This is the beginning of the story. The wrong way around, the right way around, but you know what I mean. Yes, so I would practice. I think it's definitely closer. I think there's a bit of a way to going just to exaggerate it. And like I say, if you don't like it, you don't have to, but so start with a slower bow and then speed up. Ugly, yes, but we'll just try it once. Actually, not very ugly. You played it beautifully.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's really that was actually my main point about the whole thing, is just to sort of make sure your bow speed is a conscious choice and not just our default setting, which is it's very easy just to, you know, like we're doing the ironing, down, up, and make sure it's something you mean, and that a slow bow speed gives you so much more opportunity for color. Great. Just trying to think. There were a couple of other things that could maybe help. Yes, I mean, even just the character of this is all about character. This piece. Just after that. That part when we're on the E string, that the accents it might be just zoom. They could possibly be a bit more friendly. Maybe, you know. They came across as probably zoom, but a little bit, which again, of course, is possible as expression, but you could try something a little bit more coaxing and smiling. Good. Yeah, really good. And even though there's an accent, that the G just needs to burst into the A. It's very hard to do. That was closer. And then, yeah, this is weird, isn't it? This time there's no rest, is there? And then the next time there is. Between... I think this time there's no rest, and the second time there is. Do you know where I am?
When it comes back to the main theme again.
Exactly, on the last page. Let me just check that. Yes.
Yeah.
The second time, for some reason, just before this, he puts a rest. So you can, even those two notes, you can connect a little bit more. You're doing the nice kind of shift, the scoop, which I think is really nice. Do you shift a third finger?
No, it's just fourth.
It sounded really nice. You could try third, which for me is a little bit more persuadable, to do some lovely vibrato, which would mean, I suppose then 2-2 on the semitone. Just to try these fingerings. Yeah, and no rest. It sounds a little bit like there's a great break. With even crescendo almost. Something like that. Great. That's what I think you know what I mean anyway, just to connect. It's nearly there. It's hard changing fingerings on the spot, I know. And then just to be really religious about the text, do you have in your edition a little swell there? A little, tiny little hairpin. Which is very cool. It's kind of anti-instinctive what he asks for. But he's doing everything he can to help us get inside what he's thinking.
Yeah.
So let's try even a little bit slower, just to really get all the text in. It's kind of a lot, but just let's see what you think. Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, you have to turn yourself inside out to make it happen, but you could practice that a little bit and see if you like it. And to achieve that, it's probably something to do with bow speed. Maybe slow, fast. Let's try that. So is it an up bow for you? I think so.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. That came across exactly as what's there. Very good. Just occasionally, again, tiny point. I think you use quite a lot of bow, and that too much, probably too much, maybe, I don't know, and that it kind of then it's hard work. It for us. And this isn't it's only just a fun little showpiece. It doesn't need much. And then just where we're coming to, actually, I'm exaggerating, but I felt you were using a lot of bow. And sorry, I'm horribly out of tune. You could try something again a little bit more with more tension.
Yeah.
Less bow speed. It will have just as much impact, I think. So try anywhere around there that's comfortable. That's it. I think so. Even more when you're practicing, exaggerate. Just that one there. Do you add the? How do you play that one? Can you just show me? The C sharp. You add the A, do you?
No,
Oh, I see. That's actually, yes, that's perfect. So it was me that used to cheat. I used to go and then take that A, but then open strings. You could try that. So what I think we don't want really is which is loud, but it's only decibels. You know what decibels are? The measure of how loud something is. And I don't think that's what's important here. It's not the decibels, it's somehow the rhythmical sort of conviction.
Yeah.
Let's try, I know it's a lot, you try the new fingering if you like it. And something just a bit more tight.
Third finger C sharp and then fourth finger A.
Actually, I stayed in, so I'm in third position from, yeah, stay in third and stay in third.
Okay.
So it's slightly cheating. It means you need to add, in a way, you're playing the A twice. Do you see what I mean? And then whatever fingering you do. Yes, exactly. Yeah. It's kind of fun, I think. It's quite strident, but it's so hard to get fifths in tune. At least you can blame the open strings if. Yeah, so you could try that, and again, just with very, very sort of muscular bowing. I think that might be a better way of describing it. And you really have got no technical issues. It occurred to me, which I find this hard too, actually. This part. It seemed from the camera that you were coming quite far off the string. Those. It sounded very articulate and great, but possibly it's going to slow you down. And it might be too much of a risk to be so far off the string. So I'd be tempted to do it almost on the string. So you're just using this guy to squeeze the stick and sort of poke them out that way. Have a little go. Yeah, we need to press quite hard. Yes, and you'll get more bite. Almost the feeling, you know, if someone was holding this, and I'm trying to push, but I'm pushing this way with the tip. I can't go. That sort of feeling of resistance to the string. So we don't want it to be too easy, you know, like someone is stopping you. I'll do it on the screen. Just have a go. So really dig in and resist. Yes. So actually what happened that time is the hair stayed on the string and your bow, the stick is bouncing, and that's fine. I think before it looked like everything was coming off. So just something you might want to think about as well. And it's sort of, for me, it was easier to stay in tempo with when you don't leave the string quite so far. And you managed, I'm just trying to think about the things. The harmonics are super. My teacher used to say harmonics are greedy. He said you have to feed them, and you have to feed them bow. So lots and lots of fast bow. Actually, they all popped out, pretty much all of them, really well. That's a hard one, isn't it, that one? There. That's hard. That one on the B, it sort of comes out 50-50, doesn't it? So plenty of bow. Try that little bit. Yes, so even a bit more bow and fast, super fast, the opposite to what we talk about with the tune. One more time. Brilliant, yes, they really pop out, and they do have the accents, so I think that's great. Plenty, they have the dots, but don't think of it as anything vertical.
Yes.
All horizontal. So I'm jumping about a bit, I'm sorry, but there was one thing, a choice about whether to play on or off the string as well. Actually, Colleen, how am I doing? Is that recent? 5 minutes, she said. I don't know if that's recent. Anyway, we'll just keep going. Yeah, now, why have I written that? Could we go back just to what we were talking about there with the new fingering? Because just after that, there's no dots here. And I think you could also try it on the string. Just for that scale. And it's not marked with the words crescendo, but I can save you 250 quid on a lesson just by saying start the crescendo much softer. Oh, it's frozen. I'm just going to wait patiently. Frozen. I'm not panicking.
I'm here, yeah. We seem to have encountered a little bit of an issue with Chloe. We were coming close to the finish time anyway, to be honest, Mia. There was just a couple of minutes left. So I think we will probably press ahead and just take our short break that we were going to, if that's okay. So after our second participants, we were due a short break. So I think we'll do that. And then we will proceed. We'll proceed with Helen, and I think we certainly had 95% of the time of that particular session. So let's take a short break, folks. Don't forget to put any comments or questions for Mia in the social media channels on the National Concert Hall YouTube, Facebook, and we will see you in about 3 minutes. Okay, see you shortly.
Turn off my video.
Sorry, my video stopped. I never knew what happened.
Well, everyone, you're very welcome back, and we will now move on with our third participant in this evening's masterclass. And this is Helen Rutledge, and Helen studies violin with Colette O'Brien at the CIT Cork School of Music. She has won numerous awards at Feis Ceoil, Feis Matthew and CSM competitions, including the St Cecilia Cup at Feis Ceoil, and was most recently a finalist in the Frank Meyer Classical Music Awards. As well as being a member of the National Youth Orchestra of Ireland since 2016, Helen is an avid chamber musician and with the Danu Quartet has played a number of concerts alongside the Vanbrugh as part of the National String Quartet Foundation series, and has participated in the masterclass programme at the West Cork Chamber Music Festival. Helen, you're very, very welcome. We're delighted to see you. And I think you're coming straight from the Cork School of Music. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Great. Okay, excellent. Good. And just to remind people who may be watching that we will have a short Q&A at the end of this masterclass session. So that will be at approximately 8:35. If you have any questions, please submit them via the NCH YouTube channel or Facebook, and we will relay them to Mia. Well, I will leave you to it, Mia and Helen. Thank you, and we'll see you after the session.
Hi, Helen.
Hi,
Tom.
how are you?
Lovely to have a conversation. I'm going to wait for you to pop into my screen as well.
Perfect.
Something happened before. Oh, there you are. That's it. I've got nice. Too small, I couldn't see. Fab. So you've got two movements of this, the
Yeah,
Lalo.
I've got two movements. I was hoping to start with the fourth, if that's okay with you. And if we have time, then we can do some third as well.
Great.
Thank you.
Oh, gorgeous. Beautiful. Brilliant. Gorgeous playing. And it's really lovely to hear an ensemble piano. Actually, I don't know if it was just me, but my mics are going a bit bananas. It might be the piano.
Oh, no.
But I definitely got the gist of it. It's gorgeous. You play with your full heart, and I think
Thank you.
it's very communicative,
Thank you.
and very engaging. Lovely. I mean, a lovely sound, lovely vibrato throughout, and just lovely engagement. It's the way you engage with
Thank
your
you.
instrument, with the piece. Wonderful four-finger vibrato. Wow. You could outdo Hilary Hahn.
No, thank
Jealous
you.
of her. Wow. I would. It was great. Just at the end there. I have to confess, I've never played this piece. I got stuck on the first 4 bars of it. You know, the beginning. Have you played the
Yeah,
first movement?
of the first movement.
Yes, and I'm sure
Yeah,
not
yeah,
everyone.
yeah. So
Remember how it goes? I mean, it starts on an A, does it?
yeah, it's the yeah,
This. And so many people murder it. I'm sure you never did. That I could just never get.
yeah,
So I've never taught this piece, and I've only heard it sort of the odd
yeah,
with people, but it's just so touching. And I know the connection of this piece with which I'm sure you do, the Tchaikovsky concerto.
yeah, yeah,
So he
yeah. It's amazing.
it really is, because Lalo really wasn't known for terribly much,
Yeah,
but there was a great vogue for kind of Spanish flavored music
yeah,
at this
yeah,
time. Anyway, I think Bizet was writing Carmen, all kinds of Spanishy
mhm,
things were going
yeah,
on. So yeah, and just for people listening, yeah, so Tchaikovsky, a friend of his who played the violin beautifully, got hold of the Lalo, and they just had a great time
yeah,
working. And Tchaikovsky dropped everything and said, "Right, I'm writing a violin concerto," and he wrote it in no time. He wrote it in 3 weeks or something. And you hear the well, the slow movement. I know there were 2 slow movements for the Tchaikovsky,
yeah,
but it's really so similar, isn't it? It's amazing. D
yeah. It's so
minor,
nice.
and
Mhm.
not much later on, but
Absolutely
there's
gorgeous.
really is, and there's such homage to this piece.
Yeah,
Of course, he wrote it for Sarasate. He's another one like Kreisler.
yeah. I
Um,
think this
re-
piece was actually dedicated to Sarasate, which
I think so.
yeah, I think which is really interesting. But yeah,
Like many, yeah. But Sarasate he just collected all the honors like Kreisler. I mean, it's amazing, and it would have been. There is a recording of Sarasate actually, but
wow,
it
I
really
need to
sounds
look
like
at
he's
that.
playing at the bottom of a well with a blanket over his head. You really can't hear. anything very much. But he was the superstar of his time, and
Yeah.
it would have been lovely. I think he was known actually for not having a very big sound, but for having
Wow.
the sweetest sort of sound imaginable.
Oh,
It's only
that's
we
so
can only imagine.
touching. Oh my God.
It's interesting, what inspired the musicians of the time. Uh,
Yeah.
I really, I mean, again, really not much to say at all. Um, I think you're a very giving sort of musician. You're giving all the time, and you could possibly find moments not to play coldly, but where you're not. The expression is not always.
At the
I'm not sure
forefront.
if I'm explaining it very well, but that you just rely on the music itself, the sort of dignity and the nobility of the music, and
Okay.
then like at the beginning. I mean, you play it beautifully. It's mezzo forte, and in the next when it comes back, it's forte. But there's perhaps a little bit more. The French word is recul. I don't know why I know that and not the English word, but a kind of objectivity to let this, because it's very noble music. It's very kind
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
to let the music just speak, just playing beautifully in time enough, and maybe and
Okay.
then I'm not sure. I mean, you played it very nicely the way you did, but just to sort of vary it possibly.
Yeah, definitely. Do you suggest I do this for like certain sections, or is it just a general comment about the whole piece?
I think certain sections, because there are a lot of
Yeah.
it you can't, but you just have to give everything.
Yeah.
Um, um, Perhaps the beginning was a spot, um, and where it's I've just got an IMSLP edition, but where it gets very quiet. I haven't played this piece, but it's not
Yeah.
just playing softly, but
It just
this
seems
again,
like
it's a more
that.
intimate expression.
Yeah, yeah, okay. I can try that.
Yeah, you could try that. Actually, try the very, very opening as well,
Okay.
um, with a kind of like I don't know if it helps, but sort of like telling a story of long ago. This happened long
Okay.
ago, once upon a time feeling. So
Yeah.
you've got the sort of it's not quite so much in the present tense, and it
Mhm.
might help.
Yeah, okay. Give me the two bars. Sure. Yeah.
Yes, that's great. It was lovely, and I felt you perhaps had further to go,
Yeah.
like maybe starting that way. And even within that, you can still be very expressive, but maybe not
Okay.
in this kind of
Yeah,
showing
yeah.
everything. I don't know who I
Okay.
was talking to, but so even within that, there is great.
Yeah, yeah.
It can be great intensity. So the three Ds somehow speaking differently,
Yeah.
not all the same. Both speed. You can do it. I'm sure. You can. That was great. So really, the pianissimo. Just a comment, on what you
Yeah,
played.
yeah. Okay.
Perhaps not so played. Do you know what I mean? But just
Yeah, yeah.
really, it's about bringing it off the page a bit more.
Okay.
Talking.
Yeah.
it's quite still in a way, in a feeling.
Yeah.
Zoom is hopeless. I mean, it's impossible to sort of really tell. This was maybe the only really point I had to make about the articulation when you have the same note repeated
Yeah.
a few times.
Yeah.
And maybe the first three Ds is an example, but they still need articulation, or it will sound, especially on Zoom, like spaghetti with no. So we
Okay.
need sort of penne pasta, and maybe that's not quite the best example, but
Yeah.
that you're
I,
able to subtly change the consonants on them.
yeah.
Um, especially in a big hall with an orchestra and everything, it's perhaps so smooth that it almost sounds like a two minims. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I know what you mean.
Really good. Perhaps we could do the lower one. So I'm from here.
Yeah.
And think about that. And then it was lovely when you get there, when you after the top of the crescendo, and then that's your reward. You know that the F you
Yeah.
got there.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be necessarily in tempo. I think Tom actually took more time than you there.
Yeah.
And then the difficulty playing with anybody is trying to be intelligible, to sort of make to be predictable in a way, so that we can play
Yeah.
together.
Yeah.
Something
Okay.
about this bar. Somehow it wasn't totally together at that time. I don't really
Okay.
mind if
Okay.
it's not together, but what you could practice is the message, to make it absolutely clear what you want, because you're a very committed
Okay.
player,
Yeah.
but that you cannot be sort of, there's no ambiguity about where you want to play,
Yeah.
nothing accidental. Here it is. It's like with such authority, I suppose,
Yeah. Okay.
and so that it can't not be together. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
I know
let's
what
try
you mean.
for articulation and being intelligible, maybe from
Yeah.
there. Um, Analysis.
Sorry.
What did you think of the bar? Just the bar before the art tempo.
I think it was slightly not together. Probably my fault for not taking enough time, but
There's no fault. But I think what I find it really hard is sort of daring to
yeah.
go quite far. Okay, here it says poco rit. Let's pretend it doesn't just for now. But that you are in absolute control of,
Yeah.
I guess, where you want the notes to be.
Yeah.
You can go to the end of the bow or not. That it's something you are in control of. Do you know what someone said to me? You know, virtuoso. You wouldn't really think of this piece particularly virtuoso, there's some tricky bits, but virtuoso in the true meaning of the word, virtuous. Not necessarily virtuous in this sense, but
Yeah.
good. So,
Yeah.
and I think we need to be virtuosos of every aspect of our playing, not just the bass.
Yeah. Yeah.
Virtuoso, the control of this, of the soft playing, of the
Yeah.
all that. So you can. Let's just try a bit more virtuoso
Okay.
in this bar, in the meaning, if that means you could take. Is it easier perhaps to go two before the tempo from the F, and then try something new? And I challenge you to be. I'm sure you'll be together.
Okay.
I was more convinced. I was.
Yeah.
I don't know if you liked it. I thought it was great. You're reading the music perfectly. It might help to take the heat out of the sound perhaps a little bit sooner. I know it's forte officially for 2 beats. Maybe So I'm bumping into things.
Yeah. Okay.
If you just because it's rather abrupt otherwise, this pianissimo, I don't think it's subito. So version take 2, but it was great.
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah, I'd buy that one.
Okay.
And I think it's you're probably used to playing with each other, but the trust as well is sort of, he'll be there,
Yeah.
and try it differently tomorrow. It
Yeah,
might be different
definitely.
on a Tuesday.
Yeah.
So we should try not to set anything in stone, but have that relationship where anything can happen.
Yeah, definitely.
There are some wonderful violin duo, real partnerships. I don't know if you've heard Christian Tetzlaff and Lars Voigt play.
I haven't actually heard them, but I
They're,
will
they,
definitely
they're,
look them up.
they're fabulous. I mean, they've been around a while, and they were at the concert hall the other day, and
Oh wow.
so maybe it's not the other day, a year ago, and there was something absolutely incredible about their duo. Because of course the piano, it's such a huge instrument, and you need a super sensitive pianist, and Lars Boy could do everything. Just a soft. It was really great to watch. Actually, while I'm on that point, playing the piano, it's this thing of re-articulating notes.
Yeah.
And of course, this is playing with orchestra, but it's even more so with orchestra.
Mm-hmm.
I think even though you're doing what's on the page, you're connecting everything.
Yeah.
I think sometimes we need a fresh articulation, which means actually maybe finishing the previous note a little bit sooner. So I don't know.
Okay.
But it's really consonant, like you are. It has text.
Yeah.
And then you need more air, and you say something with more emphasis, and you need that sort of re-emphasis, and so to get rid of the spaghetti feeling.
Yeah. Perfect.
But again, I mean, don't only take a pinch of salt. Take everything I say with a pinch of salt, because you play so well already. Let's do that entry.
Sure.
Yes, I think you did some, and you could, I think for my money, do even more, especially it's the third beat. This yadam, it always sounds Hungarian to me. That's too much, maybe. If you can imagine, let's put placing down a chord, or I don't know what the orchestration is, I'm sorry, or a flute player having to play another note, really sort of re-articulate, and do that with them. I think sometimes we even playing sonatas, Brahms sonata or something, and it's the same tune, violin and piano, but it sounds different because we're playing in a violin-y way, and so just be aware of the hammers literally going down. They need to come up and they need to come down. So just put even a few more, especially before that yadam, which is such a gesture.
Yeah, okay.
Great. You could even do it there, just to please me, even if you hate it.
No, I don't think so.
No, but
Do you
the
suggest I take the bow?
hmm?
Do you suggest I take the bow off the string and like give it a
I think so.
yeah,
Just a bit. I think it needs it. Or
yeah,
could, if you
okay,
imagine, actors from the theatre,
yeah,
and they talk like this, and it's
yeah,
so articulate. And I think I think it needs a bit more of that.
okay,
The slightly exaggerated, especially because it's so flavored. This music.
yeah.
And then I think it's good.
Yeah, I really like that actually.
Something to think about. Not, I mean, you can't not too much of a good thing, but something along those lines.
Yeah, yeah.
And then again, the feeling of sort of command of rhythm that's not necessarily to do with playing metronomically. You
Hmm.
made such a gorgeous sound on the F, but perhaps you could steal from the rich to feed the poor. It's not quite that. We're talking about rubato with Chloe. You were probably not in.
I was
Uh,
watching some of it, but I was also warming up, so
yeah, of course. So the idea of free expression of rubato, which is what makes violinists so unique. It's
hmm
not just their sound, it's not just how fast their fingers go. Uh, this idea of your own personal idea of rhythm
yeah.
and of rubato, and rubato literally meaning stealing.
Hmm.
It's from the Italian. So you might steal just
Hmm.
a little bit from those quavers. I'm sure they
Yeah,
won't mind. For the F. Dee-dum, dee-dee-dum,
yeah,
dee-da-dum.
yeah.
And you give it back, so hopefully the conductor's not going to scowl. But and again, it's things to experiment with and
Yeah,
not fix.
yeah.
So,
Hmm.
um, you might feel more straight one day than another day, totally expressive. So last time this passage, um, and let's try something pure diva in terms of
Okay.
great. Sorry to stop you. That was fabulous. You were
Thank
really
you.
into it, and great, really good. Yeah, I think it is that little thing, yaram,
Yeah,
that needs
yeah,
just a bit
yeah,
more
yeah.
consonant
Sorry.
behind it. No, it's great, you did it. I mean, there's just one I thought especially the diminished fifths. Maybe
Yeah.
just something you might need to lift the bow just to get hold of that accent
Hmm.
a little
Yeah.
bit, but mostly you really did it. Um, really nothing to say. There's just where we stopped.
Okay.
Maybe that's too detached, but it sounds like a crotchet almost.
Okay.
Uh,
Okay.
and again, it's just slightly being actory, being theatery, and exaggerating when it's a repeated note, making sure it's totally distinct.
Yeah.
But it was really good. And I think maybe with that tiny bit of held backness at the start, then it's fabulous. When you just sort of let it all
Yeah.
out.
Mhm.
I'd love to hear the next movement as well. Maybe just, I don't play this piece, so I can't help too much. There's another that I just wrote with the repeated notes, the second line of the second page. Make sure both C sharps speak. D, T.
Yeah.
So there's a proper hard consonant on that. T.
Okay.
We could do that. And then, oh my goodness, I don't want to do this. You do it down, is it?
Yeah, down and then up.
For the whole thing.
Okay.
Just show me what you do. It's good. It's 2 octaves, right?
Yeah.
I feel the second octave's quite fast. It happens quite fast. If you could kind of really mentally, I can't really play this, but you reach this octave. So it's a little bit more even, the sound.
Sorry.
Yes, I had more of the notes if you like. Yeah. One more time. It's nearly there. Good. I think it's just the very last, say, fourth sounds.
Yeah.
Just a tiny bit. It's very hard to control. If I don't think it has to be fortissimo either, because there's nothing.
Yeah. Okay.
Nothing
Yeah.
more. If that helps. You're on second finger. Have you tried third finger?
I've
Glyphs.
tried them both. I can try that now if you want.
Good. It's well done for doing that. The advantage, I suppose, of third is you just get one more note at the end.
Yeah.
Which is kind of cool. It sounded great. I think maybe this takes too long.
Yeah.
So get to the lower E a little bit quicker.
Yeah.
Yes. That sounded good to me. Really good.
Thank you.
That's great. I really want to hear your next movement. So, what, 5 minutes? So, the only other thing I would say about this movement is the trills at the very end. It felt a little bit like you were pushing the tempo that time.
Okay.
And I think I don't know if you don't like trilling. You're just trying to get them out of the way. But let's just be a little bit calmer, I think, with the trills. It's kind of finished. There's no direction as such. It's just sort of playing out to the end. Even directly on that, or just the little twiddles into the.
Yeah.
Just at the end of that, so the end of the E, there are semiquavers. The others
Yeah.
are just little grace notes, and I think they could be a bit less important. You play a little bit.
Okay.
It could perhaps just be a little bit more connected. It wasn't so good, but you know what I mean. It doesn't have to be. You don't have to pack it with so many notes. I think if that's going to stress you out.
Okay.
Yes, I think that's better. Yeah, well done. With the trills, when it's a tone, are there many trill semitones? No, there are tone ones. Make them very wide.
Okay.
Almost ambulance.
Okay.
Because it just, the ear will always hear it, I think, a little bit flat. The trills are great, but I think sometimes your finger stays quite close to the string.
Okay.
And I don't know if you feel tight in your hand, but you could be thinking off, off, off as the motion rather than putting your finger on, on. So just and just those little grace notes, tuck them in just into the next. They really belong to the next note.
Okay.
Yes, great. Yes, actually, I think we don't have much time left. But if it were me, I think I would.
Okay.
I think I would split each time the crotchet and the minim for comfort. So I think maybe that's what's making it feel a little bit pushed.
Yeah, I think I did the wrong bowing that time, but
Oh, okay.
yeah, I was slurring the first two and then slurring the second, but I could. It probably would be more comfortable for me to slur or split both bars.
Probably. I mean, you sort of almost need to feel it with an orchestra to know
Yeah,
that there's
definitely,
no in splitting, I don't think.
definitely.
And maybe, should we just, because I think there's not much time, but maybe we could just go from there to the end for a nice
Yeah, sure.
good night. Well done, a beautiful sound. And again, for the last two bars, it's a question of being intelligible. And
Definitely.
absolutely clear for the last note. No one wants to be, you don't want to be hanging on yourself. It's so beautiful. That enormous, what thing do you do? Well, you stretch this, don't you? The A to the D.
Yeah.
It's such an enormous interval. I think you can really feel the stretch of it as well. Not to hurry yourself. Last thing, because I actually watched Kavakos play this, who's my total pin-up violin player. And he does such surprising things. He does such really easy fingerings. It's so sort of shocking.
Okay.
What? That's cheating. Why are you setting up in the position? He's like doing open strings,
Wow.
but he doesn't. And this was a place, and I think he's right. It's twice the same bar. And he goes.
Okay,
So
yeah.
I think he wins twice by having the open strings so kind of surprising, and then you've got
Yeah.
the shift. So you could
Yeah.
try that if you wanted.
Yeah, sure.
Gorgeous, brilliant,
Thank you.
lovely. I'm sorry there's not time to hear the third movement. I would have loved to because I love that.
That's okay.
But another time. It's great. What a
Thank
treat.
you.
Thank you for staying
much.
Well, thank you so much, Helen, and thank you again, Mia. Now, if Chloe and Scarlett are there, we might ask everyone to turn your mics and audio back on, and we will have a short Q&A session. And we usually start these sessions with our participants, perhaps in the order that they played. So, Scarlett, I wonder, do you have any questions that you would like to ask Mia at this point?
How many hours did you play when you were a child?
I think not enough. I started quite late, actually. I was 7, nearly 8. So I always felt like I was catching up. And to be honest, I was kind of into violin. But I practiced as little as I could get away with. My parents aren't musicians, so it was fine. But then, very soon, when I was 9, I started this. I went on a music course, a bit like they have here. It was in England, but they have the same things here. And something woke up. Like I suddenly got it. I suddenly got what was possible with the chamber music, and we played amazing pieces, probably very badly at age 9. But then I wanted to be good. And then I realized everyone else was better. So the competitive side of me just started practicing. But I think I didn't really get switched on until I was about 16. And then I started practicing properly 4 or 5 hours a day when I could. But right now, I don't do anything near that. And I also, for practicing that much, I got my hand in quite a bit of trouble around that age. So a very wise man, Perlman, he says, nobody needs to practice more than 3 hours a day. But I think when you're 10, that's not possible. And I think I'm not sure how much you're doing, but I would say an hour is quite a lot for a 10-year-old even. My kids do 20 minutes. So I'm not, how much are you practicing, Scarlett?
Around 1 hour, yeah.
Yeah, an hour is super, and you're making such progress. I think more is, it's hard and maybe not even useful. So great.
Thank you, Mia. Next we had Chloe. So Chloe, have you got anything that you would like to ask Mia at this point?
What was one thing that you learned from a teacher that stuck with you, like throughout your career?
Yes, I had a lot of teachers actually. My parents moved a lot, and so many teachers. And but the last one, who's still alive, is probably the one who sort of sits on my shoulder the most. I can hear him the most. And it's nothing to do with fingers. It was about playing with sort of humanity, actually. And I was always very upset if he thought I wasn't playing with humanity, because I thought I was. But I know what he meant. He had a sort of real wisdom, and I think for me it was about stepping back, sort of calming down, and being. Probably the violin is. I think it's so close to our face. That's the problem. You know, we play and it's right here. It's kind of stressful. And at least cellists, it's down there, and pianists, it's way down there. And I think as violinists, we can get so caught up with all the nitty gritty here, and to see the bigger picture, and I think that's what he taught me.
Thank you.
Thank you. And Helen, have you something you'd like to ask Mia?
So I was just wondering if you had any advice for capturing like the spirit of a live performance, even though we can only use like Zoom and things like that, live stream concerts at this time.
Mm. You mean as a player yourself?
As a player, yeah.
I'd say as a player, you don't have a problem with that. I think you play full-heartedly. But I know what you mean, because the system feels different in front of people. I don't really like live stream things. I don't like to think about who's watching, or it gets the adrenaline up in a sort of funny way. And the system feels different with that kind of nerves. And it's very good to get used to controlling those nerves and being able to try new things despite, or maybe because of the nerves. They're not a bad thing. So I really don't know. I think we just all have to be patient, and we'll come out of this somehow. And soon there'll be audiences again. Play as often as you can for as many people as you can. Everyone's at home. You can have lessons from whenever you want. Like no one's gigging, so in a way it's the perfect time to get in touch with Vangeroff and say, "You've got half an hour."
Thank you.
We have his number. We can give it to you afterwards. Thank you. We have a couple of questions that have come in, and a question from Kira. Kira asks, what advice would Mia have for players to help keep motivated, particularly during this uncertain time?
Yes, motivation. Well, I'd make sure you're playing pieces you're really enjoying. I think that can really help. I was at the academy earlier and bumping into students there. And so many of them have said that Bach had kept them company. The solo, I don't know if Kira's a violin player, but all the enormous works of Bach, that's such great company in this time, and to work through them, things you've never played before. So set goals like that. Do book lessons. I mean, everybody's available. I know it can be expensive, but I think it's a great time to get advice from people. And they don't have to be violin players if you're a violinist. I got some of my best advice as well from a cellist. Or it could be a bassoonist. It could be anything. Victoria Mulliver actually was famous for, a great violin player, for going to a bassoonist who lives in Italy. He just had a profound musicianship she really clicked with. So I think it's about that might help keep motivated.
Yes, and possibly it's an interesting time to seek out something different that you wouldn't normally do, such as a bassoonist to offer you advice, perhaps. We also have a question from Elizabeth. Any tips for recording auditions?
Recording auditions? Oh, I don't know. I wonder if that means they're
like auditioning for recordings or for recording audition pieces.
Yes. Well,
let's presume that she means for making a recording for an audition.
Yeah. I can hear my echo. That's strange. I think recordings. I guess it would be easy to become a bit sterile because there's nobody there. So prepare to 200%, and then in the recording, you just somehow have to pretend there are people there. Bring the adrenaline in and the excitement in, because I think risking a few fluffs or something, or going too far, is much better than something that's a bit sanitized. We have the option when we're recording to delete and do it again and again and again and again, because our hair didn't look right, or because, So I think forgetting all of that. I've actually found looking at myself really a big strain in these video things we've had to send in with the orchestra. And so you record your part and they put it together, and you have to look at yourself, and we're just not used to it. And I find it very distracting and annoying. So I don't know if that's...
Yeah, well, certainly we're all spending so much time looking at ourselves unwillingly on Zoom at the moment that perhaps we'll all be used to that now from now on. Mia Cooper, thank you so much for this evening's masterclass. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you with us, and thank you for your wonderful insights into the playing of these three fantastic young musicians. So Scarlett, Chloe and Helen, we thank you for being part of the masterclass this evening, and we really do wish you all the very best for the future, and no doubt we are going to see and hear an awful lot more from you. I'd just like to draw people's attention to our masterclass next week, and that is with the wonderful trumpeter Mark O'Keefe, and that is on Thursday the 19th at 10 a.m. So we hope to see people tuning in again for that, and we look forward to seeing you then. But for now, I would just like to thank you all for tuning in, for those watching, and we hope that you've enjoyed this evening's masterclass. And thank you again to Mia, Scarlett, Chloe and Helen, and we hope to see you all again next week. Thank you very much and good night.